Mr. Chris,
Hey Dean, how you doing?
I am so good. Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, everything's fine then. Welcome aboard. You are the kickoff for the new season of the More Cheese, Less Whiskers podcast. So excited to have you here.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm excited to be up here as well.
Awesome. Let's start with maybe telling me the Chris. How do you say your last name, Chris? Wysokowski? Is that
That's it.
Wysokowski?
Wysokowski.
Okay, great. Perfect. So let's start with you kind of telling me the Chris Wysokowski story and what we're hopefully going to work on today.
All right. I've been in the home improvement and painting business since I was 12 or 13, which has
Mhm.
been about 25 plus years.
Was it a
Um,
family business that you were?
yeah, my father, my grandfather, and some of my other relatives were all in the painting business to some
Okay.
degree. And some of them had their own businesses. And I started off painting with them, and then through that, I worked with a couple other painting contractors, and eventually in 2009 started my own business, and been doing that since, and struggled for a long time with that, um, because while I knew how to do the work and
Mm-hmm.
stuff, I was never taught the difference between doing the work and actually running a business. So
Getting the
then,
business is different than doing the business, right? And managing the business is a whole different thing as well.
right, yeah, they're
Yeah.
two totally different things.
Hmm.
So while I was good at the skill of painting, and I learned a lot of different skills being around the home improvement industry and started doing more stuff like remodeling and stuff. It wasn't until probably 10 years into me actually running my business where I started focusing on self improvement and
Mm-hmm.
learning more about working on the business with marketing and sales and systems. And then within the last couple years, my mission and passion has changed from actually wanting to do the home improvement work to being able to teach other people how to start working on their business.
That's great. What was the turning point for you? Where did you start? So you realized that that's like self-awareness, realizing, hey, this is I don't know what I'm doing here about running the business. What was the turning point for you on kind of getting that awareness? Where did you turn and what did you discover?
Well, the turning point was at the time I just recently had my second child, and I was tired of struggling, um, not being consistent because I didn't have consistent marketing or
Mm-hmm.
consistent sales in my business.
Mm-hmm.
And once I started attending different events and listening to people like you and Joe Polish and like Jay Abraham and people like that, learning.
Jay Abraham was one of the catalysts for me. Like I remember back in 1991, in that era, I had this trifecta of things that happened. I discovered Michael Gerber's book, The E-Myth, which was like a big turning point for me. I got the idea of working on your business versus in it and using it to create a prototype, that you're going to duplicate 5,000 times. And then Jay Abraham and Dan Kennedy discovered those all around the same time. And that was like the foundational stuff of the great love of marketing that I developed because I coincidentally used to run a painting company when we were in college. And so I learned about marketing, doing that out of necessity for our own business as well. But yeah, that was so that's great. So you got some good background there. Do you remember the first things that you did as a result of the new information that you were kind of learning? The thing, like the first thing that you did that you said, okay, we're on the right track here.
um, Other than the just in the improvement in my own mindset,
Hmm.
actually being able to have a strategy to just put content on Facebook
Hmm.
and be able to see results from that in my painting
Hmm.
business
Hmm.
without really spending a lot of money, just taking the time and effort to put in my work on social media just so other people can see it.
Yeah, start the process. What kind of things have you discovered that worked the best, or what was the first thing that kind of encouraged you that you got the that confirmation moment, I call it.
Um, well, I guess part of it too was trying to identify my ideal client for my home improvement business.
Hmm.
So just picking people to be friends with on Facebook that I thought would fit that profile
Hmm.
and put my content out there and just wait for them to need some of my services.
Do you have where are you?
I'm located in Eastern North Carolina.
Eastern North Carolina. Okay, great. So do you work, do you still run your painting and your painting business?
Yes, on a small scale. It's just still for me. It's just me and my brother mainly doing
Hmm.
the work. I I
Hmm.
never really had an interest in big business.
Right. Yeah, you want to have be your own, have your own thing and do your business you work. How wide an area do you cover?
Um, for the most part, just within my county, basically,
Hmm.
um, or the city of Greenville, North Carolina,
Hmm.
um, which is about 90 to 100,000 people.
Perfect, right? So you got about a 10-mile or a 15-mile radius around where you're going would cover everything, probably that whole area there. And that's great. So the good news about the kind of business that you're talking about there is that it's 100% locally delivered service. You can't digitize a paint job, right? And that's one of the things that you're going to anybody in that business is a big win there, right? Is that you can have multiple you can work with somebody in each market to use your methods. So tell me about uh what your package would be, or what your approach is, how you work with you're working with other painting companies, people who are running home improvement businesses, or what's your.
Right. Well, I guess that's where I've kind of struggled with transitioning into the coaching space and trying to
Mhm,
teach them that
mhm,
because just from talking to people in the industry and local people and people in different Facebook groups, there's a lot of people out there that are haven't professionalized their service.
mhm,
They don't have a lot of systems in place to build value or have any kind of repeatable system.
mhm,
And I know how to relate that value from my business to my customers, but I
mhm,
have it, I guess, niche down myself for the coaching business to whether it's just painting contractors or the home improvement industry in general. And also whether I just help them with marketing or sales or processes, um, just because I know there's a lot of different strategies for each.
mhm.
And I haven't.
Like, I think that initially, part of the thing is that you're going to have an ability to go deeper and more relevant if you are focused on a specific uh, industry. If you think like painting contractors, for instance, you can create a system that you can overlay on any painting business where you don't really have to do the same kind of modification that you would do if it was a plumbing business or a remodel business or anything like that. Part of the advantage is that you're kind of giving people a shortcut, right? You're giving people that you've already taken the time to do 80% of the work that they need to do. And the last 20% is personalizing it, installing it for their systems, right? Like you've over time put together the entire operation manual, if you want to call it like that, operating system for the painting business. Now, where are you in terms of that completion, of getting, if you were to say, how ready to implement is your system with with the right painter, with the right painting company? And are you coaching people now, by the way, or is this a startup that this is where you're hoping to go?
Um, Worked with helping some people for free,
Hmm.
um, and but no paid clients yet.
So you're trying to make this a paid, this is what you want to kind of aspire to, right?
Yes.
Okay. So, um, one of the questions that I'll ask then, because it's really about if we take Profit Activator one, is looking at who your ideal prospect is, like what would be the ideal, uh, you know, painter, painting company to work with. And I'll ask you, what would be the best thing that you could do for them if they would just get out of the way and let you do it, right? Like, what is the impact that you could have knowing what you know and what you have already packaged um, to help transform their painting company?
Right. If they were to be able to just implement the systems that I've already put in place,
Hmm.
they would be able to get an increase in profit and maximize as much as possible each lead that comes in and convert, sell for higher prices and not really compete on with the competition based on their price.
Hmm. So, do you have a way for them? Like, if you take this is very similar to what we do for the real estate business in terms of we've got all of the things that the realtors need to be able to do. If you were to say for the painting company, right, if we were to look that, have you got a way for a painting company to generate leads, to get leads for their business?
Yes,
Okay.
through different social media, even just organic content, a
Uh-huh.
system to do that.
Okay.
A radius marketing plan with door hangers and postcards around
Hmm.
projects that you've done work for, yard signs and networking
Hmm.
and things like that.
Hmm. And so, do you have so some paid and some organic things uh,
Yes.
that they can do? Uh, do you do? Talk to me about one of those strategies. Like, what's your most reliable magic trick? If you were to come in, if I had a painting company here in Winter Haven, and do you work with startups, or would it be primarily who would be your ideal? Someone who is already actively doing the painting business?
Yeah. It would be someone that's doing enough business and has a crew where they can step back and start implementing the stuff and focus on that and have the ability to do that without being in part of the production all the time.
Okay, so how big of a company is that typically? Like, what would be the number of people and revenue? If you like paint a picture of this ideal uh, painting company.
Probably in the 200, starting at the like 250 to $500,000 range
Hmm.
of revenue.
Hmm.
Because some of the businesses that I've seen and worked with, they just by doing small tweaks, they can increase their profitability, and that would give them the ability to invest in some of the other things to more
Hmm.
build their brand better.
what would be the how profitable would they be with at 250 or 500,000?
Um, with their current profit
Yeah.
state, or
Like what do you typically would you find, and what would you say as the gold standard for them? Like what you've been able to is your business, would you point to your business as the prototype, as the, like, Ray Kroc had the first McDonald's, right? The hamburger university, the prototype for uh, doing it. Would you use your business as the example?
not necessarily, because
Hmm.
like I said, I didn't really ever have a vision of having a big business myself. So
Hmm.
I haven't grown like 100, or excuse me, like $1 million painting business myself, just because I
Hmm.
don't want to do that.
Is that the
But
aspiration? Do you think that a lot of where would be the like what would be the aspiration that most people would have if they were your ideal client? They want to go from 250,000 to 1 million. Do they want, and how high is high? What would be, what are you finding if you were to break down like the segments?
if the ideal goal for a lot of the people are right now are to get to the $1 million plus, and there's companies out there. $1 million would start to be like mid-range painting company, like a
Hmm.
million to 5 million would be in the middle to high mid painting business, and then you can go up
Hmm.
to tens and multiple tens of millions with bigger businesses.
Hmm. Got it. So, but 1 million would be the good aspiration for a single location operator, uh, founder-led uh, business in a local market of 100,000 people. That's an aspiration or
Yes.
possibility. Okay, perfect. So there's lots of those. There's lots of markets that those could apply to. Plenty of those people. Um, so what kind of margins did you say would happen on a $1 million, uh, $500,000, $1 million painting company? What kind of profit margins are they running?
Um, from what I've done and what I've seen talking to different people, without any kind of systems, a lot of the people that are starting out or even been in business for a while maybe get 20 to 30% gross profit, where my goal for them would be to be at a 50% gross profit.
So there's your target, 50% gross profit. And that alone would make a big difference if you're saying, if you're through operations and through the systems that you have, they could, and their pricing model, they could be able to get to a 50% profit margin. Gross
Yes.
profit is what your target would be. Okay. And your I asked about your kind of like your magic tricks, or what would be the first two or three things that you would implement for somebody if you're going in, and things that can make the biggest difference for them.
Right. Probably one of the biggest things that I would say, and which was one of the biggest things I realized after already running my business for almost 10 years, is I didn't keep track of all the customers that I did projects for. So I
Mm,
wasn't able to reach back out to them and stay top of mind for them.
hmm.
So, and once I actually started doing that through email and keeping in contact with them through direct mail, it
Hmm.
made a big difference. So one of the
Yes.
the first thing I would do is say, keep track and keep in contact with every lead and every customer that you have.
Hmm. Hmm. I mean, that's kind of the thing, right? If you look at it, that how many clients, let's say on a $500,000 business, right now, how many jobs would they be doing in a year? How many homes would they be in?
Um, Depending on the size of their crew, if they were just being conservative to say doing one project a week,
Hmm.
um, I mean that's 50 right there.
Yeah,
So in
right.
between 50 and 100.
So I look at that and you think, okay, so if they've been in business for how long typically will be the ideal for you that they're kind of in business at least 2 or 3 years? Or have they
Yeah,
been in business for a longer time and they're kind of flatlined at that?
probably starting with in the 3 to 5 year range.
Perfect. So they've got already a potential, they've got a potential, the people that they've been in the house, that they're the incumbent paint provider. And I always love to, how we talk about the before unit, the during unit, and the after unit. This is part of that after unit there is thinking about all of their, um, I always love to have to add the words under management. So if you talk about, and do you do interior, exterior painting companies? That doesn't matter. They do both residential, uh, interior and exterior.
Yeah, interior and exterior.
Right. So if you think about it, that, I always think about with an electrician client, we've got a concept that we call panels under management. So the electrical panel is under management, and they've got almost 10,000 panels under management here in Polk County. And with a HVAC uh, client, we talk in terms of climates under management, that we're managing, 10,000 climates in Polk County. And so if you think about this as you've got, 250 surfaces under management, or, paint, whatever it is, homes under management, that you're the incumbent provider of painting services for them. And odds are that they're, if you didn't do a full house uh, painting job, that there's a good chance that there's going to be they're going to need another paint job, right? So keeping in touch with them and measuring what we call their return on relationship. And so if you have, I think it would be valuable for you is to think through, how can I document and create what I would call your proprietary metrics. So if you look at the way that you look at it, um, if you look at it as well, how many repeat and referral transactions uh, can we yield from this group of your of the you know, uh, homes under management uh, kind of thing. And so if you look at it, do you have a sense, like with the real estate agents, we have a gold standard of managing. We teach them to get 150 relationships, and that we get them uh, to manage that relationship portfolio for a 20% annual yield. So if we say that you've got, you know, 100 or 250, homes under management there, this is under management, what would be the yield that you could get? So it would be interesting. How long have you been taking this approach in your own business, where you started managing the relationship with your after unit?
The last 5 years or so.
Oh, okay, great. So you got a track record of this
Right.
there. How many homes under management do you have? How many?
With I have probably in that amount of time right around 200, 250 or so.
Okay, perfect. So if you look at it, that do you measure? independently the revenue that comes from your after unit on an annual basis, on a rolling 12 months. This is how we do it, is you look at all of the revenue from the last 12 months and you attribute, you identify of the new jobs that came in, which of these jobs were people that we've already been in their house? It's a repeat business, or they were referred by somebody who is one of our homes under management. And looking at that, that gives you a sense of what your return on relationship is. If you do you have a ballpark of how, or just even anecdotally, how you might think that would play out?
Um, yeah, through I know one of the years that I tracked, I think it was the first year that I actually started tracking it. There
Mhm,
was over $100,000 that I brought in just from referrals,
mhm.
and over $100,000 that I'd brought in just from past clients.
From repeat, right.
Yeah,
So that's a valuable metric. Like, so what you can, and I'm setting you up for conversations with a painting company that was you, that may not be paying attention to that, or they may have a sense of it, but they're not doing anything to really orchestrate it. That if you were to show them what your model looks like. So if I'm talking to you as a real estate agent and I talk about your after unit and I mention this 20% annual yield, that we should be able to generate 30 transactions from that group of 150 people. Um, and if I now inquire to you about what happened in the last 12 months, how much repeat and referral business did you get? That may be the first time that they've ever thought about isolating that metric, right? So they see right away that these metrics are at effect in their business, but they're not even aware of it or know how to control the knobs and dials that make it go up or down, right? So
right,
pointing it out to them when you say that here's what you should be uh, doing, here's what the gold standard is, and you're at the level right now where you need proof that this is right. You've got an idea, a hypothesis, and maybe you've done it in your business here. You've got kind of evidence that this works, but you doesn't sound like you've taken it to another business yet to document and prove that you have a repeatable, right? And
right,
maybe you've kind of helped them kind of bring awareness to that, but you haven't, doesn't sound like, set up a protocol that can be packaged and installed in somebody's business. If you say, just bring us, here's what we're going to do with your 250, we're just going to identify who your 250 are. And then this is what we're going to do. These are the postcards we send. This is the emails we send. This is the outreach we make. This is the communication style that we have. And looking, you'll see immediately that once you apply this protocol, they were at X, a smaller amount of revenue coming from their after unit. And then all of a sudden, after this, fully attributable to the things that you did, this was the difference in the outcome of the after unit. And so that's part of it, is Michael Gerberizing, that in a way is creating the prototype that you can install in somebody's business that way. That would make what you have very valuable. Now, if we go in, and what have you got? Maybe talk to me about a little bit about what you actually did to elevate the repeat and referral business that you got, because you were, like you said, not really paying attention to it. And I'm sure just coincidentally, you would get referrals. You would get people say, "Oh, we used Chris. They were great. You should give them a call. So you might have gotten repeat and referral business, um, just as a matter of course, but you weren't really doing anything to orchestrate it, it sounds like. But when you did start orchestrating it, what kind of things did you do? What is the playbook?
Um, yeah, like you said, I did get some repeat business and referrals
Hmm.
just because I was doing a good job, but I didn't have any kind of system in place to make that happen consistently. So I started using email campaigns
Hmm.
um, to the clients that I've already had and just send them monthly reminders and different things, just letting them know I'm still around.
Yeah.
Um, Sending postcards with different promotions and incentives on them.
Hmm.
Um, Sending Christmas cards,
Hmm.
thank you cards,
Hmm.
and then actually having a business card that looked like a gift certificate, which was like a referral
Right.
um, piece
Yes.
to give them
Hmm. To give them for them to use or to refer to give to
uh,
somebody else.
to remind them to refer us to other people and to give them an incentive like you'll both get 100 or $150 off your next project or
Hmm.
whatever the thing is you could use for that.
Hmm. Hmm. So yeah, and that's so to formalize that process, there's a really good opportunity there. So all of that, if you think about a lot of that is just knowledge. If you were to lay out for somebody the annual touch point calendar kind of thing, here's all the things that we did. You've got a ready to install after unit for their painting business, and to be able to document and show what the value of that is would be a really tremendous thing. You need to set up case studies for this of somebody that they installed it and this is what happened. Because the good news about all these metrics is they're retroactively, you can figure them out retroactively. You could figure out what's happened in the last 3 years. Let's look at all of your jobs and look and see what the source was for all of them, and so this was the amount of your return on relationship currently. This is what I'm showing you that you could be doing. And I'm the gap, right? Where this is the protocol to get you to this. And then you document what happened, right? This is what happened with John and Bob, and this is what happened with Mark and Connie. That you've got track record now, documented that this is something that works. Um, you mentioned some of the circle radius prospecting, and are you talking about, like the door hangers around the jobs that you're currently uh, doing?
Yes, doing that and sending postcards to those same houses.
Yes. How many do
Yeah.
you choose? What's your kind of approach to that?
With that, especially if it's in a neighborhood that I would want to continue working in or build my business in,
Hmm.
depending on the neighborhood, maybe 20 to 30 houses around the
Hmm.
project.
Yeah, and what would you send to them?
Um, just a postcard saying that we're going to be in the neighborhood
Hmm.
and offering a estimate.
A free estimate for
Yeah,
the or painting. Yes. Okay. Um, oh, I just thought of something that might be a good thing for measuring this after unit is maybe calling it gallons under management. That because you measure job in the term of how
yeah.
many gallons of paint it's going to require. So at at 22 Greystone, we've got 10 gallons under management or whatever the thing is. That's a good way to get the scope of the project too. Like if you think about all the surfaces of all the gallons of paint that you have in all of Greenville, you may have, how many gallons in a typical job?
Um, depending on whether it's a whole house or not.
Hmm.
Still, I mean, 10, 15, 20 gallons
Yeah. So
per
if you think
house.
about that, if you've got 5,000 gallons under management in Greenville, that's a pretty good
Yeah.
that's a pretty good metric of how you literally painted the surfaces of Greenville. It's almost like square feet, right? But that's gallons under management gum. And that's kind of a proprietary metric that you could wrap around the in measuring it here or there. So I think that makes a big that would be a cool thing. In terms of the during unit, that's where this circle prospecting would come into play. And one of the things that we look at there is to look for multipliers. Like if you look at the job multiplier index, you might say that every painting job that you get comes with some other opportunities. So it could be, first of all, to set up the next job or an expanded job because you got it. They came in, we want you to paint the family room and the living room and the dining room. That becomes the job, but then it expands to, well, let's go ahead and do the bedrooms or the bathrooms or the kitchen or uh, whatever else it is. So that expansion of the job is one opportunity to multiply. A second would be to get another job within the 20 in the hot zone there of the job you're currently doing, and then an opportunity to get a referral or an introduction to from the people that you're doing the job for in the first sort of 30 or 60 days after the job is done. Because I think that's really where there's going to be the most conversation about it. If they're going to refer somebody, it's highly likely that the conversations about the paint are going to happen in the first 30 days of their inner circle coming into the house and say, "Oh, it looks amazing. We're thinking about getting we should do that same thing, or I love that color. Oh, Bob, let's do our place too." And for them in that moment to be able to give somebody a gift card that they can use to get the job done by you, right? I think that's a really interesting metric to kind of set, um, an aspiration towards. Uh, if you look at it, do you have a sense of how well that 20 to 30 houses around, how do you have any sort of metrics around what happens when you do the door hangers or you do the postcards, and what is your multiplier protocol?
With that, typically it's been 1 to 2 projects around the house that we're doing the work with.
Wow, so every time you do a job, it turns into one or two new jobs because of that. And that's reliable. So that's the kind of thing that if somebody's not doing that, you look at. So part of the thing we do with the realtors, we created what we call their listing multiplier index. And that we look at every time you get a listing, it comes with the opportunity there's 5 opportunities. You can get it sold. You can find the buyer yourself. You can find a buyer that buys another property. You can get the next listing in the neighborhood, and you can get a referral from the seller, right? So we look at those 5 opportunities and we take somebody's last 10. So you would say to a painting company, let's take your last 10 jobs, and you've identified that there's 5 opportunities that come from the things of expanding the job you already have, getting 2 additional jobs in the hot zone right around that one, getting a referral or two from the seller or the homeowner in the next 60 days after you do the job. So if you say to the painting company then that you look at them and say, of the last 10 jobs that you did, how many of these opportunities did you get? Did you get an expanded job? Did you get a job around that one? Did you get a referral the uh, from the homeowner? And look at it and add that up over the last 10. So let's say, you look for on the realtors, we take this, there's a possible 50 points that you could get if you got all those things happen. And then if you take that number and divide it by 10, that gives you what your listing multiplier index is. So if you take those jobs, you say, how many jobs additionally did each one of your last 10 jobs turn into? Add that up and divide it by 10. So let's say that they got 15 jobs out of the last 10 that they did. Then we divide that by 10 and get 1.5 as their multiplier index, right? So if you look at that and say that the people running our program, running our targeted mailings around, our referral conversations, our job expander dialogues, our uh, process for following up with people for 30, 60 days after to orchestrate referrals, our gift card strategy, that our clubhouse leaders have a job multiplier index of 3.5. That means that they're missing out. They're losing out on all of these jobs that they could be getting because they don't have a system for multiplying the jobs that they have, right? To make the most of it. And if you've got it packaged where modularly you can plug and play, that's why it's important that thinking just about painting uh, contractors initially is the smoothest course of action because you don't have to reinvent this for, all kinds of industries. You do it just for the painting industry.
Right. Yeah. I guess that's where I was struggling to put it together because there's so many different industries within just the home improvement industry. But being able to narrow it down to
Mhm.
just the painting, like you said, I already have all the stuff that I've done. So it wouldn't be hard for me to help somebody implement what I've already done to
Mhm.
in their painting business.
Perfect. Because that's where you're at right now. In order to really like expand this and to create this into something that's a business, is that you're at the point where you need to document that you've been able to do this in someone else's business other than your own, right? Like you're implementing those strategies.
Right.
How many are you working with right now because you mentioned you've been doing this kind of for free with some of them.
Right now, two or three. Um,
Mhm.
but I know two things. One, doing it for free, and I haven't had a clear system for them to be accountable and take action.
Yeah, you're just sharing ideas, right? Like
Yeah.
that's kind of, hey, do this, try this, do this. But you're not, if you look at the layers of how we want to do it, you've got an idea. Your hypothesis is if you did the things that I do, you would get the result that I got. That's your hypothesis. You don't have proof of that yet. So the next level of this is that you've got to prove that somebody who did what you did in their business got this result. Then when you move from that proof stage, now you can elevate it to a protocol. And the protocol is this, like, so I think what you're doing is you're taking what you've done, you're sharing it with someone else, you're documenting everything that needs to be done in order to get it. And when you get it to that protocol level, now you've got something that can be packaged and protected, that this is your patented process for doing these things. And you're just right now at the idea stage where you've got an idea that this could work, but you need to document it, you need to protocol it, then you need to package it and roll it out. Like once you've got a system that you know that this works, that's where you're going to be able to build a business around it, you know?
Right. I guess one question I would have with that, just say I come up with whatever the package is, past client, current
Hmm.
client package to
Hmm.
increase that gallons under management multiplier
Hmm.
or whatever.
Hmm. Hmm.
Should I only focus on that right now and get the metrics for that? And
I
then,
think whatever you've got, like you want to start documenting, like start building with the two or three. If you've got two or three allies who will let you do or will do what you say to do, or to go along in a case study, with you, that you're kind of doing it, you're using it to document, well, this is what actually needs to be done. You're going to see where the friction is. Like you may find that it might be friction for them to get the metrics, like to figure out how much of their business came from repeat. That's not going to move the needle. What the most important thing is that they can identify the gallons under management that they have right now out in the marketplace. They've got all the invoices, they've got the people. Hopefully, they've got a CRM system. If they don't, that's base camp one. They've got to get to that level, right? Then they can start now with the communication, with the messaging, with the mailings, whatever you're doing, um, whatever your protocol is. You say this is what you should do, this is what you should do, and then monitor the result, right? Because if you show it, how one of the biggest things that you're probably wondering is how to price this, right? Like how do you price what you're doing? And so part of it is going to realize that depending on what level you're at, like you could package these things, you could just give people access to the things that you do, and then pay you a straight monthly fee to have access to everything. And if they don't have, how many of them have a CRM, or is that, are they at that level, or are they kind of flying just with their internal records and stuff?
most of the people that I've talked to that are on the lower end of that spectrum don't have a CRM or anything.
Okay. So what do you have one? You have uh,
Yes.
a system for that. Okay. So, you might look at, even that'd be the kind of thing that you could do a white label of go-go clients. Like our CR, the one I use is my own. And, I have a program called Go-Go Agent where I've taken all of those tools, but then I load it with all of our real estate specific stuff. So if you had a CRM that you could pre-set up for people to implement the things that you're doing, whether it's the landing pages, the email templates, the text messaging, the all of those things. So all they had to do was put their 250 clients into the system, and then you could manage, or the tool would manage being able to broadcast to them, mail to them, do all of the communication with them. And on the same front, in the before unit, using all the lead generation things to get new people into the process, or manage the during unit experience for people. But it's kind of exciting. You've got a real, you know, you're really at the beginning stages of something that could be a very valuable thing for painting companies.
Right. Yeah, and I think being able to narrow it down to that and get the actual proof and
Mm,
show that whatever that multiplier is, like without the system, it may be a 1, 1.5, but
mhm.
using this system, it could be 3, 3.5 or
Yeah. And when you
4x
put
on.
a monetary value on it, what's the average job size? Is it $5,000, $3,000? What's the average?
Yeah, and between 3,500, 5,500.
Yeah.
Um,
So if you look at that, they do 50 jobs and that there's a difference of if they could just duplicate that, that's pretty easy to see how you could double your business just by doing the multiplier strategies.
right. Okay. I guess my question with that is then once I have that system set in place where it's proven and
Mhm.
repeatable for the businesses, then I would be able to go and use like upsell systems and teach
Mhm.
them that on top of the multiplier system.
Yes. Yeah, I think that's it, that you've got a business development system that's kind of, maybe you look at it as a 1 year transformation. And because they're not going to be able to implement everything all at once. But if you start with the optimal build order of let's start with what you've already got. Let's start with the jobs that you're on right now. Let's send some door hangers to the 20 around there. And let's put out an A-frame sign with a take one box on your outside of the house when you're on the street doing the job. Or, and you start thinking just like a strategist, how could we get the most out of this?
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, I guess that's where that comes in. If they're already doing 50 to 100 projects a year,
Yeah. Yeah,
then they don't have to really do anything else but implement this system with the
it could
what
be.
they're already
That's
doing.
absolutely right. Yeah. And that's where you start is let's start with the things. Let's start with the signs you have in the yard right now. Because while they're up, I'm sure they put up a sign while they're doing it or an A-frame sign beside the
Right,
truck when you're doing it or whatever, right? That there's those opportunities. That would be kind of the fastest acting way to jump on.
right. Yeah, I appreciate that. Yeah, that gives
Yeah,
me a lot of clarity of where to start.
I love it. So can we unpack for me just a little bit? What do you see now as your action steps or your next steps here that you're
Um, to be able to put my processes for the past clients referral system and radius marketing into a system that I can say to the other business owner, hey, here, implement this in what you're already doing, and let's track that and get the proof of the profit and the amount of projects that come off of that just by
Mhm.
doing that.
I love
And
it. And then you've got something that's going to be a no-brainer for people that your price can be, a fraction of what the value of it is.
right.
So good. Love it.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Like I said, yeah, it gives me the thinking to niche down to just the painting contractors and just
Yep.
focus on that one area of growth for now.
Hmm. Hmm.
Then once that's proven, then you can add other systems in to
That's exactly right.
even become a bigger multiplier.
Yes, that's exactly right. And there's lots to do to just document the real estate one and have it done, or not the real estate, the painting niche. There's lots of opportunity there to think about it again, that you're building a system. You're not building a job for yourself. You're building a system that you can be removed from, that people could run the system that helps painting contractors grow their business without you having to be involved in the process.
Right. Yeah.
That goes a
Yeah.
long way. I love it. Well, that went fast, but
Yeah.
I think you got a good starting point in the roadmap here. You're in a great business, and I think you're going to change a lot of people's lives. So that's got to feel good.
Yeah. I appreciate it. And yeah, just being able to focus on that, I think I'll be able to help a lot of people get
Yeah.
some clarity on just improving what they're already doing.
Awesome. Well, stay in touch, Chris. Let me know how this is all playing out, and I'll look forward to hearing the follow-up story here.
All right. Yeah, I appreciate it. I'll definitely keep in touch with you.
Thanks, Chris. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.